let's start with Derek. How is he doing? What's going on?
Well, I mean, God, blimey. There will be tears, by the way.
Of course,
so,
not just from you,
I'll try to keep them down. Yeah. Well, you know, he's still with us. He has fought the most extraordinary battle, and I hate the idea of that, fighting a battle, because it is a battle. But, you know, the fact that he's still here and is holding on, I hate the idea that other people haven't fought hard enough or something. And I'm just so grateful that he's still here. And I've got the option of praying and hoping when others have had that stripped away. But he is very, very sick. He's very, very sick. And as time goes on, it's a virus. It's a little bit like a computer virus, I think. It's like the doctors manage one bit extraordinarily well, and there seems to be a flicker of hope, and then other things emerge, and they're fighting that, and it's affected him from the top of his head to the tip of his toes. Let's look at some of the positives. He is now COVID-free, so he's testing negative for the COVID virus. So the fight with the virus has been won, and he's still here, but it's wreaked extraordinary damage on his body, and we don't know if he can recover from that, basically.
Oh, Kate.
So he is, sorry.
You know, we've spoken loads over, obviously, on the phone over these weeks. I mean, part of the horribleness of this is that we can't come and give you a big hug, because that's what friends would do normally. But
Yeah.
You've had to really be very clear-headed, haven't you, through all of this, to get all the information, to understand exactly what's going on. And you don't mind me saying, because we spoke last night, that it is probably only in the last couple of weeks that I personally have, you know, seen the impact on you on a more emotional level. Just tell us about how you're coping with all this information every single day, and trying to keep on top of it emotionally for you and for Billy and Darcy.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? I think very early on, I spoke to Piers, and he just said, right, come on, Garraway, you're a journalist. This is the story of your life. Your focus now is Derek. You've got to fight for Derek. You've got to get all the information you can. And that actually really helped, because I thought, I've got a job. Because we were in free fall. I've got a job. My job is fight for Derek, keep life safe for Darcy and Billy. And that forced me into what you and I know, Ranveer, and Ben knows, is that breaking news mode. When something awful happens and you're on air, you have to not think about the emotion of it. You have to think about doing your job. And I think I rode that for weeks and weeks and weeks, thinking, right, what do I need to do? What doctor do I need to speak to? How can I make this happen? What else is out there? What else we could be doing? And also, you know, right, Darcy and Billy, what do they need now? What can I talk to them now? Let's try and have some fun. Let's try and manage their feelings. And then I think about 2 weeks ago, I probably did crash, because you can't stay like that forever. And I mean, the problem is I have huge hope and massive positivity, and will never give up on that, because Derek's the core of my life and our lives. But at the same time, I have absolute uncertainty. And it's not just me, by the way, it's his mum and dad and his sisters and everybody who loves him, all his friends. We're all going through that. And the doctors don't know. They don't know. They don't know because they've never seen this before. One doctor said to me that he is the worst affected person he's had to treat that's lived. Thank God he's lived so far, and I'm so grateful for that. But they don't know. They don't know. They're looking at damage to his body, and they may have some idea of what that would mean if it had been caused by another illness or something else, but they don't know what this does. they talk about an evil virus, and it is. It's an evil, evil virus.
It is, Kate, a miracle.
I'm also aware, by the way, that I've been living this. Sorry.
Go on,
Ben.
carry on.
I was only going to say that I probably should explain how it's all unfolded, because I don't want to scare people as well. Derek's situation is incredibly rare. The damage that he's sustained, and we don't know what effect that will have on him, whether he can recover and how he's going to recover, is incredibly rare. I mean, some of the damage he's got, the doctors have told me he's only one of 5 people that they've seen it in, although there may be more. And I think one of the things we have to think about, actually, with COVID is that, well, I certainly was here at the beginning. That's what I felt at the beginning. My prayers were all, let him live, let him live, let him live. God bless the NHS. God bless everybody that's helping him. Please don't let him die. And we think of COVID as being something that where you either live mercifully or it takes you. And I think at the beginning of this, that's what it was like. Some people got it very mildly. I've had it mercifully mildly, although there was a couple of days when I thought, oh my goodness, what happens if I get really sick, because we're in lockdown and it's just me with the children. But I had it mercifully. Other people have it more seriously and have to go to hospital, but mercifully recover. And of course, there are other people whose lives are taken. But now what we're seeing is that there are more and more people who are living, but with completely unforeseen consequences and unknown. And that is all of us, really, isn't it? You know, there's going to be people who have emotional consequences, physical consequences. We know that the country is in a terrible state, and we're worried about everybody's positions economically and everything. But for some people, there are going to be big consequences that, despite the doctor's brilliant knowledge, I've seen them learn things during this 10 weeks. You know, they would say, this week we thought this, but now we realise this, and we're trying to deal with this. They're extraordinary how they're getting on top of this. I can't say enough about all the teams that have been involved and the nurses. But it's a war. You know, they've said to me, it's a war. They talk when they say, in peace, they say in peacetime we would say this, and they mean pre-COVID. But this is a war. Should we start from the beginning? Because I think the last time I saw you guys, remember I was on air and I had that eye infection. I had my crazy glasses on. And
your hair was much
right
bigger, actually, than it is now.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. It's even attacked my hair, this experience. Yeah, and so just to say where Derek was and how it all started. So Derek had a really painful shoulder for a couple of months and had been taking painkillers for that and had scans for that. And just before lockdown came, he was going to have steroid injections. They were cancelled, and he was feeling really unwell and in misery with that, but home tutoring the kids while I was still working. And then on the Friday, after I'd had my eye dramas, which was so nothing, I got back and I said, you don't look right, babe. What is going on? And he said, I think it's the painkillers. And I just had this weird feeling. I said, you haven't got a cough or anything, have you? And I took his temperature and he didn't have either. He said, I think I've got weird sinusitis, though. And I said, well, let's see if we can get some antibiotics, because our GP was ill. He had COVID. And so I rang and spoke to somebody and said, look, he's got sinusitis. And Derek said yes, and he'd been trying inhaling. And we got some antibiotics. And then over the weekend, I just thought, I don't know. And we were talking to each other. And I'm saying, you don't look great. We were thinking, well, where do we go to a doctor? But no real feeling that it was COVID, because back then, people were saying, if you have a cough, persistent cough, if you have a temperature, but there were none of those symptoms. And then on Monday, round about the 29th or 30th of March, I came home from Smooth. I just picked up a laptop because I was going to then start broadcasting from home. And I came in and I said, God, you look ill. And he said, I don't feel well. I've got splitting headache, got a weird numbness in my right hand. And I thought, maybe he's got a trapped nerve in his shoulder. he said, I'm finding it quite hard to breathe. I'm really struggling to breathe. And I said, oh, my God. And I sort of paced around. So I did what anybody who works at GMB does. I rang Dr. Hillary. And I tried to get through on 111 and couldn't. So I thought, I'm just going to call Dr. Hillary. And he went on the phone. I know Hillary's there. He'll remember, I'm sure.
Hi,
and
Kate.
he
Hi.
talked to Derek and did, hi, Hillary. And he did some breathing tests. You, I'm sure, could explain them more, to test about capacity. And I'll just never forget it. He said, put me back onto Kate, and said, I think you need to call an ambulance. And I said, OK. Called the ambulance, sort of thinking, God, I can't believe I'm calling an ambulance. They're so busy with COVID and I'm going to be wasting their time, but also very scared. And the ambulance came, two medics came, lovely girls, women, and did a thumb test and said we need to take him to hospital straight away because his oxygen level was very low. Still didn't have a temperature. Took his temperature and didn't have one. Didn't have a cough. And we sort of helped him downstairs. He's never been to hospital before. Never really get ill, Derek. Never really gets ill. Broke his foot 5 years ago, never heard the last of it. But that's the only time he's ever really had anything wrong with him. So he was thinking, what do I take with me? We were rushing around. Helped him down the stairs and they put him in the ambulance and put a mask on him to breathe. And he just said to Darcy and Billy, who came out, all worried, you're the best children anybody could ever ask. Look after Mum, be good for her. Went into the ambulance and that was it. And went into hospital and you know, went straight to intensive care. And in that first week, it looked like he was rallying. You know, the doctors were very positive, saying, you know, he was doing less oxygen level, but he was very bad. I, you know, endlessly looked at some of the texts on his phone. He couldn't really speak to me because of the mask, but I was talking to the doctors and they would put it on the speakerphone and he could sort of shout things to me, and he was begging me, saying, I can't stand this, I can't stand this. I feel like I'm suffocating every second of the day. I can't take it. Please let them put me in a coma, because there was a debate about that, to rest his lungs. And I would say, we're not putting him in the coma because the doctors are saying, no, we've got to wait, because if his lungs can still work, that's better. And then on the Sunday morning, they rang me up and it was the doctor said, we've got him here, we're going to put him into the coma. Because overnight we think we need to do that. He can hear you, he's right here. And he just shouted at me, I love you, but I'm sorry I have to leave you. And I said, it's only for 3 or 4 days and you're going to be fine. And this is good, because this is what you wanted and allow you to rest. And he just said, you've saved my life. Because I think he thought I persuaded the doctors to put him in the coma. Obviously, I hadn't. He said, you've saved my life. And I don't just mean now, I mean everything, being married to you and the children. You've saved my life. And then I said, I love you, I love you. And the doctor said, he's gone, he's under. And that was it.